Someone asks you about your childhood, and you hesitate. Not long, just enough to feel it. Your mind doesn't go blank, it starts editing. You run through versions, what sounds normal, what won't raise questions, what keeps the moment light. So you land on the safest answer. It was fine. But your body doesn't buy it. There's this quiet tension, like sitting in a room where the air used to change without warning. Here's what almost nobody tells you. Being called mature wasn't proof you were okay. It was often proof you learned early how to stay easy, quiet, useful. And once your nervous system locks onto that rule, it doesn't disappear. It rewires how you feel rest, connection, even your own worth. Listen closely to this, because the third part explains why calm can feel unsafe. And before we get there, where are you watching this from?
A teacher sees quiet focus after a night of slammed doors and calls it discipline. Relatives watch a child stay calm while adults argue in the kitchen and call it maturity. A lot of adults got praised for the wrong symptom. Bessel van der Kolk helped make this harder to ignore. Children under strain do not become wise ahead of schedule. They adapt around instability. The nervous system starts choosing predictability over spontaneity, usefulness over need. That is not pure character, it is survival. A child learns to stay in the room while emotionally disappearing from it, like a coat hanging behind the door, present, quiet, and easy to forget. And the world keeps rewarding it. Families praise the child who causes the least friction. Schools reward self-containment. Digital culture rewards looking composed even when the inside is shaking. That is why so many good children grow into adults who feel guilty for needing anything. People call it strength, but psychologically it is over-adaptation. And once the body learns that softness has a cost, rest starts feeling dangerous too.
A quiet Sunday. No messages, no demands, and still your body will not fully unclench. That is not personality, it is physiology. Stephen Porges put language to this through polyvagal theory. The nervous system does not obey logic first, it tracks safety. For people shaped by early instability, calm can feel strangely unfamiliar. So when people call it anxiety, perfectionism, or tell you to just relax, they miss the engine. Your body learned that staying slightly tense, slightly useful, slightly ready reduced the chance of things getting worse. It kept the peace. Stress research keeps finding the same pattern. Early unpredictability raises adult vigilance. Then modern life piles on. Notifications, performative work culture, constant availability. The world rewards alertness and calls it discipline. That is why rest can feel like sitting in a dark, silent house while your ears still wait for footsteps. You do not resist peace because you hate it. You resist it because your body never learned to trust what happens when you let go.
This is where the illusion finally breaks, because what the world keeps rewarding in you, reliability, composure, always having it handled, is not always strength in its cleanest form. In schema therapy, Jeffrey Young describes patterns like self-sacrifice and unrelenting standards as identities built around being needed, not chosen, needed. That distinction matters more than most people realize. In modern work culture, the person who never says no gets promoted faster. In families shaped by emotional dependence, the one who carries everyone else becomes the strong one. Sociologically, this is functional behavior for the group, but psychologically, it comes at a cost. Studies on role entrapment show that when identity fuses with usefulness, people lose access to authentic needs. They stop asking, they stop receiving. They start performing stability instead of living it. You see it in a quiet, almost invisible moment. You help everyone, solve the problem, stay composed, then later you sit alone in your car, your room, your kitchen, and feel nothing clear. Not relief, not pride, just a kind of empty stillness. That is not burnout in the simple sense. It is the nervous system dropping after sustained overfunctioning, like a body that carried too much for too long and forgot what enough feels like. Usefulness is not the same thing as worth. One keeps systems running, the other allows a person to exist without earning it. But in a world built on productivity, constant accessibility, and subtle social surveillance, the two get confused. People admire what you produce, they rarely question what it's costing you. And over time, you stop questioning it too. So the real turning point is not becoming less capable. It is recognizing that capability became your identity because it had to, not because it was the whole truth about you. And once you see that clearly, the question shifts, not how do I keep carrying this, but something far more uncomfortable. What happens if you finally put it down?
And this is where something quieter begins to settle in. Not a solution, not a performance, just a clearer understanding. What people called maturity was often a nervous system shaped by pressure, not peace. Attachment theory has shown for decades that when care is inconsistent, people adapt by becoming the stable one. But stability built on suppression is not the same as emotional safety. And in a world driven by productivity, constant access, and subtle social surveillance, that confusion keeps getting reinforced. So the shift is not about becoming someone new. It is about seeing what was never yours to carry in the first place. Some children do not become mature. They become safe to depend on. Being useful kept you included. It was never meant to define your worth. And the moment you stop negotiating your need for rest, something deeper starts to reorganize, slowly but honestly. If you had to earn peace, it was never really peace. Usefulness is rewarded. Worth has to be remembered. Being needed is not the same as being loved. Strength that costs your identity is not strength you chose. If this felt like the language you didn't know you needed, you are not alone. Leave a comment with the words, "too soon." I read every single one. Protect your peace. And if you're ready to understand why being needed can start to feel like love, watch the next video on your screen. I'll see you there.